Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this week's Facebook Live. Tonight, we're going to talk about how the steps you can take to change limiting beliefs. And if you watch the video that on anxiety relief, which you can see on this channel, I shared some easy tips to relieve anxiety, and one of the tips was actually working on our cognitive thinking and changing our thoughts and our beliefs. And because that one takes more practice and a bit more knowledge, I decided that today was the time to give you some steps to actually be able to change your limiting beliefs. And, at the moment with coronavirus, we're faced with so much uncertainty, which brings up so much anxiety at the best of times. And for those of us who are chronic anxiety sufferers, the levels are elevated even more. So it really is worthwhile, doing this kind of work to eliminate all of that anxious feeling so that we can come to our center, and it doesn't really matter to us what happens. Well, it does matter because we care, but it doesn't matter in the sense that we're not affected by the chaos that is surrounding us at the moment. And the thing about our thoughts is our thoughts lead to emotions, which in turn lead to anxiety. And here is the thing. It's that inner critic that I'm talking about, which I actually call the war within ourselves. It's that negative chatter that goes on in our heads. And quite often, the way those thoughts become beliefs is when we think them often enough, and then they become a belief. And what happens after that is we actually experience evidence to confirm those beliefs. That's why sometimes we cannot recognize limiting beliefs, because we think, well, I go out into the world and the world proves to me that my beliefs are right. And there's a reason for that. The reason for that is that as we create those beliefs, we so create that evidence to back up those beliefs and make us right and affirm to us that we are right. So how then do we identify these limiting beliefs? We can identify them when they're destructive to us, when they actually stop us from having the things that we really, really want. Okay, and especially, say, with anxiety, we want to eliminate anxiety. And again, watch that video on anxiety relief, because that has some great tips on it if that is what you'd like to do. So here is the good news. The good news is that we can change our beliefs. And there are ways of doing that, of course, like inner child work, hypnosis, subliminal work, body work, like, that increases our breath work, like meditation and, yoga, things like that. But the most empowering way is to consciously change them. And that's the reason that I'm sharing these steps with you today. There's actually 15 of them, because it's all about you becoming your own coach, and it's all about empowering you to empower your own life, right? So I'm going to let you in on a little secret now. Did you know that to manifest our desires, our beliefs and our desires have to be a vibrational match? So if you're wondering why you really, really want something, I'll give you an example. Say, for instance, a loving relationship. Now, say, for instance, your desire is to have a loving, beautiful relationship, but your belief is actually, perhaps no one will love me. If that is your belief and that is your desire, then the chances of you having a loving relationship are very slim, because what you're going to do, being that our world is indeed a mirror, is you're going to attract someone who has similar beliefs. So that is the benefit of changing our limiting beliefs. And what I'm going to do now is move right on to the steps. And the first step to changing our limiting beliefs is to identify the belief. Okay? So first of all, we look at the thoughts that come up so often in our minds, our inner critic. And then we look at the beliefs that these thoughts lead us to. And then we look at all the evidence that has proven us right. Okay? So those thoughts then lead to a feeling or emotion. So the next step, once you identify what that limiting belief is that you'd like to eliminate, for instance, anxiety, the next step is to identify exactly what that feeling is. Once you identify the feeling, you ask yourself, when was the last time I felt this way? The next step is to ask yourself, when was the first time I felt this way? Now, here is where you must accept the answer that comes to you first, because you'll receive an automatic answer. Don't think about it. Let whatever age comes up for you come up, and you'll probably get a number. You may not believe it, but it should be between the ages of 0 and 7, because that is the time that we program all those feelings and emotions that we then perpetuate into beliefs and patterns and evidence to prove ourselves right. So when you ask yourself, when was the first time I had this feeling? Accept the answer that comes up automatically, because that will come from your unconscious mind. Quite often with our unconscious mind, we don't quite believe it because it comes up in subtle ways. Okay, so don't think about it too much. That's the trick there. Then the next step is to decide what you would rather believe. So replace your limiting or negative belief with a belief that you would rather have, okay? The great thing is that once you actually shed light on this negative belief, immediately it will start to dissipate for you. The next step, and this is where we have to be completely honest with ourselves, okay? Because it's unbelievable how much we actually can lie to ourselves. The next question I want you to ask yourself is, what has been my payoff holding this limiting or negative belief? There's always a payoff. The payoff may be that I get more attention, or people pity me, or people look after me. Whatever the payoff is, be completely honest, because the whole point of working on ourselves is loving our shadow and our light equally. That's when we actually become self-realized, okay? So don't hold back, just be completely honest and ask yourself what the payoff is, and you will get the answer straight away, I guarantee you. So after that, what you need to decide is whether the payoff that you're getting from this limiting belief is actually worth keeping it, or whether it's worth moving to this new beautiful belief that you may replace it with. That is, you will find that as that belief dissipates, so does the evidence that supports it. So that's great news. You want to change your belief to a belief that actually serves you. And you also want to be aware of how you came across that old belief. That's a step that I'm rewinding now a little bit to the old belief, right? Where the old belief actually came from. Because sometimes those negative beliefs come from someone else. And when you go to replace it with a positive belief, you can say, well, you know, that belonged to so-and-so, and look at what his result was or what it did for him. So that's a great way to look at it. The next thing to do is to focus your attention on your new belief. And with all the work that we do, It's all about focusing on what we want rather than what we don't want. Because the thing about focus is anything we focus on grows. Anything that we place our attention on, we attract, okay? So focusing your attention on your new belief that serves you, that is beautiful, that is perfect for you, is the best way to go. And then you will see evidence that will just start showing up to support it, because we are actually that powerful. Now, when you're setting your belief, you want to be realistic. A lot of you may know, for instance, Louise Hay and her book of affirmations and all the affirmations that are out there. When you do replace your belief, you want to make it an affirmation that you actually buy for yourself, okay? So, you don't want to say, for instance, I am something you don't believe. You want to say, replace your negative belief with a belief that is actually manageable, realistic, and believable to you personally. So then what you can do to affirm this belief so that it creates more and more evidence to support it is you can actually use affirmations, and a great way to use affirmations. I'll tell you something about affirmations. Affirmations are great because they change our cognitive thinking. They're also great, however, in putting the order out to the universe. It's like ordering a meal. So it's making a statement to the universe when you make affirmations. So it's great to use affirmations, and you can use them the first minute you wake up. You can write them on Post-it notes so you don't forget them and post them around the house. You can actually record them in a beautiful soft voice and listen to them before you go to sleep. All those things to reaffirm your new belief. Another thing you can do is you can meditate on it and actually visualize yourself in this new belief and experiencing the evidence the world gives you, and actually feel it. So if you're able to visualize it, feel it, affirm it, that will make it super, super powerful for you. So in terms of anxiety, what we want to do is actually eliminate those feelings that we have of fear, because that's what it comes down to. There are only two drivers in this world, fear and love, okay? So work on eliminating your fear at the moment. And a great way to do that is by, again, focusing on the positive, okay? So I'll give you an example with what's happening at the moment. There are so many ways to look at things, and one way is to look at what we've lost, the mayhem, the chaos, and the loss of life that we're seeing with the daily death tallies on the news, as well as the economic effect and repercussions. Another way we can look at it is to look at the fact that we have, by being isolated or in lockdown, come back to what's really important. All of those distractions that we love so much are gone. We're at home where we can be creative and spend time with our loved ones, where we can actually learn if we choose to learn, where we can actually, given that 71% of us hate our jobs, even have the time now to access our purpose and passion, what it is that we're all brought here to do, and make it happen. And for the goddesses, I recommend the Arete Goddess online program for you goddesses, because it'll boost your confidence, give you the tools to access your purpose and passion, and then all the business tools you need to start a business, make it happen, especially online, right? Another thing to do is to reconnect with yourself. This is the time that we can really do some great work on ourselves. And of course, the first step is to eliminate that fear that's causing all this anxiety, right? We can actually reconnect with our bodies. We can exercise, do yoga. We can become healthier, make better choices for ourselves. And we can also prepare for the future. And as I've said before, there is no harm preparing for the worst, expecting the best. So we can create what we would like in this world, but by all means, make the preparations, because this will eliminate your anxiety as well. If you're prepared, if you're doing everything you can to be prepared, and then you're finding alternative resources, solutions, ideas, possibilities, then you're on the right track. And I'm going to actually say something that I've said before, if you've watched other videos, that Dr. Deepak Chopra said, which I absolutely love, and that's why I keep saying it. He said, when you're on the path, something to the effect of, I'm not quoting him here, when you're on the path of uncertainty, you're on the right path. Now, for those of us who are actors, or for instance, people who work on contracts, we know about that because we built, or we learn how to cope with uncertainty. We finish one contract, we don't know when our next contract is coming up, so we become used to it. But for others that have been in full-time employment, it's a lot different. So for you, I hope that this helps you. And by all means, feel free to book a free coaching call with me. There's a link below that you can just click on, and you'll find a whole page of coronavirus coping skills, resources, your free coaching call, and free downloads, and all sorts of offers that I've put together at next to nothing, so that you are supported and empowered during this time, and we can all stay positive together and focus on everything that we can do, not what we can't do. So stay safe, keep up that vitamin C. I've bought these Manuka honey vitamin C capsules or tablets that you can suck on. They're fantastic. And just to let you know about vitamin C too, you can dose up on that vitamin C. Stay safe, my darling friends, and I will see you next Tuesday, same bat time, same bat channel. Wishing you amazing success always. Namaste.